Welcome to Into the Words, a podcast from the Highlights Foundation Retreat Center. Today in the cabin is our dear friend, Shadra Strickland. Hi, Shadra.
Hi.
Shadra's been here with us for summer camp mentorship this week. Shadra, talk to me, how many years have you done summer camp?
This is my third year of summer camp, and I came up for an unworkshop right at the kickoff of the visual arts reception last year. So my fourth time at Highlights.
So glad you come back.
I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. Talk to me a little bit about summer camp this week and what it was like for you, having done this a couple of times before.
Yeah, like this year, I knew like some old friends would be here. So even before camp, I was on Twitter like, can't wait to see you. Can't wait to come up and eat all the good food. But the best thing about it is always like working with such talented writers, you know. And so I work primarily with picture book authors, but oftentimes I'll start with someone who has who thinks they have a picture book manuscript. And then after some discussion, I'm like, oh no, this is middle grade. Like we should try this at a longer format. And people take the advice and take the feedback and they go and they do it. And, you know, by the end of the week, the transformation of the work and transformation of spirit with the people here is so profound. Like you can see it on their faces and at the readings. The person that you meet on Monday is a completely different person that shows up on Thursday night when we do our readings.
So you're seeing real progress.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, not just in the work. Again, it's the person having that space and being in a place where people really, they're taken care of and they're able to relax and focus on their craft instead of having to focus on the laundry and the kids and the job and the dog. So it really is transformative.
And tell me about the session you were leading.
So I lead a picture book session that I actually want to name Writing Through the Trapdoor. Before we just call it Picture Book Idea Generator. But I find as a creator that whenever I sit down to write the big thing, to write the big story that's going to be it, I fall flat on my face. And so I've learned through experience with writing and with teaching students at Micah, when I play word games, word association games, or make them connect with who they really are and what really matters to them, then stories bubble up from that are a bit more authentic. They're more easily accessible. And so I didn't come up with, but two people actually like wrote brand new manuscripts in a day after taking that workshop.
Wow.
And they were full of life and fresh, you know, and instead of like the ones they've been laboring over for years and years and years. So, and that's how I came to my first book. It was a play. It was literally playing. And all the manuscripts that I'd slaved over and cried over, none of those have seen the light of day. But the one that I just sat down and responded to something else was the one that is sold.
So how do you do that in your session? What is there an exercise or a...
Yes, there are a few exercises. One is making a list of 25 things. First, we start off, I ask them what matters to them. And I don't want the polite answer where it's like, oh, my family, my kids. I want the down and dirty answer. So for me, I do a lot of like self-development workshops, and this question was posed to us. And for me, winning is the thing that matters the most. And at first, I'm like, oh, that's such a terrible answer. But it's not just winning for myself, but having a team of people and being able to help others win, and just you have to play in order to win. So that's very much who I am. So we start there. The next thing is make a list of 25 things that you're either interested in, that keeps coming up in your life, just 25 things, anything. And then we write a short story geared towards children based on anything from that list. The next one is bring an object and write a story based on that object or centered around that object. And then the next is more structured, where we talk about common themes in picture books like friendship, anger, loss. And then they have to come up with 2 story pitches, complete ideas for each theme. And sometimes we get to actually writing those manuscripts and sometimes we don't. But that's an example of how it comes up.
Oh, great.
Thanks.
So that was one. And was there one other session you
Well,
did?
my keynote, Allison tries to save me whenever possible because speaking in front of people can sometimes be a little nerve-wracking.
You're so good at it.
You fake it till you make it, but it's painful. Last year was great because we did the interview, so I didn't have to prepare. Like, I think the hard thing for me, or the challenge, is I really want to know, like, what people need, what will serve people. And so when I'm coming up with a talk kind of in the blind, I don't know if it's, effective enough. So this year, Allison let me play with everybody and we made accordion books. And so people could use them as sketchbooks, but most people, I prompted them to tell me a story and pictures using that accordion book. So there were only like maybe 12 pages to work with. And all these writers did awesome jobs, like making picture books and becoming Illustrator authors for a day. So it's fun. It was a lot of fun.
So you were able to get the writers to bring out their art and drawing.
Yeah, and many of them have that talent anyway. They just didn't pursue it. So it's always fun to see them tap into that as well. And before that, we played a little game of Fortunately, Unfortunately, based on the Remy Charlotte book, where as a group, we told a Fortunately, Unfortunately story. First one was garbage. It was terrible. But we did it again at the end, and we made a masterpiece. So again, yep.
So when you're not here at the Highlights Foundation, tell me about your life.
Oh, my life. My life is interesting and full. During the summers, I am primarily a children's book writer and illustrator. In the fall and winter, I teach full-time at Maryland Institute College of Art. And I also work as a secret agent. So I represent 4 author illustrators, and all 4 of those people were former students and are now most of them are working on their first picture books that they've written and illustrated. And these are people who didn't think that they could write. And that's where the whole writing from the Trapdoor exercise came from, is what I work with my illustration students. So, yeah.
And at Micah, you're teaching, are they all children's book aficionados?
No, they are not. They are not. Well, you mean in terms of the classes or the students?
What are the classes you're teaching?
Yeah, I teach core classes, so sophomore level illustration, where it's all about materials and techniques, and then junior illustration, where we work more with concepts and market-based assignments. So we give real-world billboards and editorial pieces, packaging design. And then the senior year, they're able to develop a project on their own based on other classes that they've taken. And the elective classes, my specialty classes, are book illustration, advanced book illustration, and professional development, where I talk about contracts and taxes and all the fun stuff.
All that part.
Yeah, exactly. If they need it, you got to run a business. Yep.
Okay. And so now it's summer. What project are you working on?
The never-ending project. I am finally illustrating my first author-illustrated story called Jump In, which I shared with campgoers last year, and now I'm finally in the final art stages of that. So it's
Congratulations.
exciting. Thank you. Oh, it hurts, but it's exciting. I had to give myself permission to work digitally, since I usually work traditionally. And so I'm looking at a lot of futurist art and art that has a lot of movement, because the poem has a lot of movement. And I'm excited. We'll see what people think. Do
you have a date when Jump In will be ready?
That's a disrespectful question, George.
All right, editor, scratch that.
Well, I'm supposed to be finished with the final art in September, but I don't think I'm gonna be. I need a little more time to work on final art, and then I have 2 more picture books set up after that. One of them is with Calkins Creek that I'm excited for.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I need time though.
I bet, with such a busy schedule.
Yeah, it's tricky. I just got promoted, so I'm assistant chair of our department, which is exciting. But I don't know. I'm trying to. Like I said, I'm doing another self-development workshop before school starts, just to presence myself and really be able to go into this new situation with purpose and kind of understanding what the thing or the job or the project actually is, and then what it can be based on who I am, you know. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes.
Thank you, George.
And I just wanted to publicly thank you for your help with the internship program.
It's my pleasure. It's so
Allison
much fun.
and I we just stopped to have lunch in Baltimore, and you started talking about the internship program at MICA. And a week later, we had it all figured out how to find some interns. And we've really enjoyed having interns here on campus this summer. And we think the learning for them is hopefully fun too. They work a lot, but hopefully they get to meet some people in the industry and learn about bookmaking, story making for children.
Yeah, and even for them, like in school, everything is so like structured, institutionalized, right? You're in it, everything is pretty set out for you. For them to be surrounded by people who have been on this path for years now, you know, and to see how dedicated these people are, I think is inspiring, because I think it's really easy to graduate, to get the degree, and then when things get a little hard, quit and do something else, you know, especially with family pressures of getting jobs and feeding yourselves and moving out of the house, whatever. So it's really useful, I think, for them to see what it really takes and what life looks like. Also, when you have families and you're trying to balance your creative life and just the real world kind of gets in the way. So I'm glad, you know, it's the best thing ever when I make friends and these friends come and hang out with me, and then we, you know, brainstorm and make possibilities and opportunities happen for other people. That's the best part of summer camp.
Well, thank you, Shadra, for joining us at the Highlights Foundation Retreat Center. We are dedicated to continuing our 35-year tradition of creating a safe, nurturing environment for those making great stories for children. So thank you for being a part of the Highlights Foundation.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for what you do to support that belief that children are the world's most important people.